The Velorian collapsed at my feet during the awards ceremony, her silver blood pooling across the polished marble floor of High Command's Memorial Hall. Everyone froze. 200 decorated officers, 17 ambassadors, and the entire Galactic Council delegation watched as I dropped to my knees beside her, ignoring the medal they'd been about to pin on my chest. "Medic!" I shouted, but I already knew what was wrong. The ceremonial gown she'd been forced to wear concealed the bandages poorly. Someone had beaten her before bringing her here, a gift for the hero of Kestron the 4D. "Sergeant Major Chen," Admiral Varro said stiffly. "Your companion reward appears to be damaged. We can arrange a replacement." "She's not a toaster," I snapped, gathering her slight frame against my chest. "She weighed almost nothing, hollow-boned like all Velorians. And she's not my reward." I left the ceremony with her in my arms. Let them keep their damn medal. The medical bay was cold and sterile. I sat in the corner, arms crossed, watching the Velorian female slowly regain consciousness under the soft blue glow of the healing field. Dr. Okafor finished her scans and walked over to me, keeping her voice low. 3 broken ribs, severe contusions, partial starvation. She's been like this for weeks, Marcus. Who did this? Does it matter? She's property, legally speaking. A war prize from the Velorian surrender. The companion program paired her with U.S. cultural integration. The doctor's disgust was barely contained. They're distributing them to decorated veterans like party favors. I looked at the small figure on the bed. Her skin was pale lavender, almost translucent, with darker purple patterns running along her temples and down her neck. Her hair was white, cut short and uneven. Someone had hacked at it recently. She couldn't have been more than the equivalent of 20 human years. What's her name? They didn't give her one in the files. Just a designation, V701742. The Velorian's eyes opened. They were silver, like liquid mercury, and they found me immediately across the room. There was no fear in them. No hope either. Just a flat, exhausted acceptance. "You are the human," she said. Her voice was hoarse. "The one who burned Kestron the 4D. I didn't flinch. I am. I had family on Kestron the 4D. The silence stretched between us. Dr. Okafor shifted uncomfortably. "I know," I said finally. "The file told me, and they give me to you." A bitter smile crossed her cracked lips. "Your people have a cruel sense of humor. It wasn't my choice. No." She turned her face away. "It never is. They discharged her to my custody 3 days later. My quarters on Station Artemis were modest, a single-bedroom unit meant for a soldier without family. I gave her the bed and took the couch. She didn't speak for the first week. She ate when I put food in front of her, slept when the lights dimmed, and spent the rest of her time sitting by the viewport, staring at the stars. I didn't push. I'd seen enough trauma to recognize someone holding themselves together with sheer willpower. On day 8, I came back from a briefing to find her standing in front of my personal effects shelf, the one thing I'd actually decorated in 15 years of service. She was looking at a small stone, gray and unremarkable, sitting between my father's dog tags and a faded photograph. "What is this?" she asked without turning around. "A rock. I can see that." "Why do you keep it?" I set down my datapad and walked over to stand beside her. "My grandmother gave it to me when I enlisted." She picked it up from her garden, handed it to me and said, "Leave marks so they know you were here." The Velorian finally looked at me. "I don't understand. Neither did I at first." I picked up the stone, felt its familiar weight in my palm. She meant, don't just exist. Don't just pass through. Make something. Change something. Matter to someone. "And this stone helps you remember that? It reminds me I'm still trying." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "My name is Kiravel. Marcus. I know who you are, Marcus Chen." She turned back to the viewport. "Everyone knows who you are, and you still told me your name. You have kept your stone for 15 years. You gave me your bed when you could have made me sleep on the floor. You have not touched me, threatened me, or spoken to me as though I am less than sentient." She paused. "I have been with 3 humans before you. None of them earned my name." I placed the stone back on the shelf. "Then I'm sorry you had to wait so long. 6 weeks into our arrangement, Command assigned me to a reconnaissance mission on the Theta 7. A simple survey operation, 3 days planetside, minimal risk. I am coming with you," Kiravel said when I told her. "You're not military. I am your assigned companion. The terms of the program require my presence at all active duty assignments." Her silver eyes met mine. "I read the documentation. The documentation is designed to keep tabs on you, not protect you. I am aware." She picked up the tactical vest I'd left on the table. It was far too large for her. "I'm also aware that you will be alone on an uncharted moon with no backup for 72 hours. If something happens to you, I am returned to the companion pool for redistribution. I understood what she wasn't saying. The pool was where she'd been beaten, where she'd been starved. Going back wasn't an option. Fine, I said. But you follow my orders, all of them. No questions? No questions, she agreed. Then added, unless your orders are stupid. I almost smiled. It was the first joke she'd made. Theta 7 was a frozen hellscape. All ice storms and jagged obsidian peaks. Our shuttle set down in a narrow valley, and I spent the first day setting up sensors and collecting geological samples while Kiravel stayed inside, monitoring our communications array. Marcus. Her voice crackled through my helmet comm. There is an anomaly on the eastern ridge. Metallic signature, moving. I checked my scanner. Nothing. You sure? Velorian eyes see further into the electromagnetic spectrum than human equipment. A pause. It has stopped moving. It knows we detected it. Stay inside. Lock the shuttle. Already done. I made my way toward the ridge, rifle ready, moving from cover to cover across the frozen terrain. The wind screamed around me, driving ice crystals into every gap in my armor. The metallic signature was a drone. Reconnaissance model, origin unknown, definitely not Council standard. It sat motionless on a rock outcropping, its single camera lens fixed on our shuttle. Someone was watching us. Someone who shouldn't know we were here. I raised my rifle, sighted and fired. The drone exploded in a shower of sparks. 3 seconds later, the mountainside above me did the same. The avalanche caught me before I could move. Tons of ice and rocks swept me off the ridge and down into a crevasse, tumbling, crashing, breaking. My armor absorbed most of the impact, but my left leg bent in a direction legs weren't meant to go. I screamed. Then the world went dark. I woke to warmth. That was wrong. Theta 7 didn't have warmth. I should have been dead, frozen solid at the bottom of a crevasse. Instead, I was lying in a makeshift shelter, thermal blankets stretched between ice walls, emergency heaters glowing red, medical supplies scattered around me. My leg was splinted, my armor removed, and Kiravel was pressed against my side, her body heat radiating through the thin fabric of her survival suit. You're awake, she said quietly. Good. I was concerned I had done the splint wrong. How? My voice cracked. How did you find me? I tracked your suit beacon. Then I climbed down the crevasse. She said it like it was nothing. Like she hadn't descended into a frozen hellhole to drag out a man twice her weight. You are significantly heavier than you look. Velorians aren't built for strength. No. We are built for other things. She adjusted the heating unit. But I managed. I stared at her. The small, beaten, starved creature they'd given me as a reward had saved my life. She'd come for me when running would have been the smarter choice. Why? I asked. Kiravel was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was distant. On Veloria, before the war, we had a concept. Teth'kira. It translates poorly, but the closest human word is andi, companion. Not in the way your military uses it. Not ownership, not subservience. Teth'kira means the one who sees your marks. I don't understand. Every Velorian from birth to death tries to leave marks on the universe. Small ones, large ones, it doesn't matter. What matters is that someone sees them. Someone remembers. Someone says, yes, you were here. You mattered. She looked at me, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. A teth'kira is the one who bears witness, who carries your marks forward when you are gone. And you? I have been without teth'kira since the war. My family, my bondmates, everyone who carried my marks is dead. Her voice didn't waver, but I heard the weight behind it. I thought I would die alone, unseen, unmattered, just another V number in a file. Kiravel, you keep a stone from your grandmother. You remember her words. You carry her marks. She touched my chest, just above my heart. You are not a monster, Marcus Chen. You are a man trying to matter, trying to leave marks of your own. I burned your world. You followed orders in a war neither of us chose. But you were a weapon, as I was a casualty. Her hand stayed where it was, but here now, you are just a man with a broken leg who gave me his bed. And I am just a woman who chose to climb into the darkness to bring you back. I didn't have words. For 15 years I'd carried the guilt of Kestron before like a tumor in my chest. No one had ever looked at me the way she was looking at me now, not with forgiveness exactly, but with understanding. I don't deserve a witness, I said finally. Perhaps not. But I am choosing to be one anyway. We were evacuated 2 days later. My leg required surgery, 3 months of recovery, and a medical discharge from active duty. Command gave me a pension, a handshake, and an apartment on Earth. Kiravel came with me. You could request reassignment, I told her as we packed my quarters on Artemis. The companion program allows transfers after 6 months. You've served your time. Where would I go? Back to Velorian space. There are refugee settlements, refugee camps. She folded one of my shirts with precise, practiced movements, where Velorians who supported the war are separated from those who didn't. Where I'd be marked as a traitor for accepting a human companion, even involuntarily. I'm sorry. Don't be. I have already made my choice. She set the shirt in the case. Unless you wish to be rid of me. No one. The word came out faster than I intended. No, I don't. She nodded once, and that was the end of the discussion. Earth was strange for her. Too warm, too wet, too crowded. Humans stared at her on the streets, some with curiosity, some with hostility. The war had ended less than a year ago. Velorians weren't welcome. I took her to my grandmother's garden first. The old house in Sichuan province was exactly as I remembered. Crumbling stone walls, overgrown vegetable beds, and the stubborn ghost of a woman who died while I was burning a world on the other side of the galaxy. This is where she found the stone? Kiravel asked, kneeling beside the path. Somewhere around here. She never told me exactly where. Kiravel picked up a small rock, gray and unremarkable, like mine, and held it up to the light. It's just a stone. That's the point. I sat on the old wooden bench, my bad leg stretched out in front of me. It could be anything. A pebble from a garden, a medal from high command. The object doesn't matter. What matters is what it represents. The marks we leave. And the people who see them. She put the stone in her pocket. I didn't say anything. 3 months later, the call came. Admiral Varos's face appeared on my comm screen, grim and urgent. Sergeant Major Chen, I know you're retired, but we have a situation. I'm not coming back. You don't have to, but your companion does. He paused. There's been an incident on Station Kairos. A group of Velorian refugees have taken hostages. They're demanding the release of war criminals from the detention facility on Luna. What does this have to do with Kiravel? One of the hostage takers is her brother. I looked across the room. Kiravel was standing in the doorway, her face pale, her silver eyes wide. She'd heard everything. We need her to negotiate, Varos continued. She's the only Velorian with council clearance and a connection to the cell. If she can talk them down, she's not a negotiator. She's a war refugee you traumatized and traded like livestock. And she's the only chance we have to end this without bloodshed. 43 hostages, Chen. 17 children. Kiravel walked over and took the comm from my hand. Admiral. I will go. No, I said. Kiravel. Varos started. I will go, she repeated. But Marcus comes with me. Those are my terms. I grabbed her arm. Kiravel, your brother tried to kill you. He called you a traitor to your people. This is a trap, perhaps. She covered my hand with hers. But those are children, Marcus. Human children. And if I can save them, you don't owe humanity anything. I owe you. She met my eyes. And you would never forgive yourself if children died because you tried to protect me. She was right. I hated that she was right. Fine, I said. But we do this together. Station Kairos was chaos. Council Marines surrounded the occupied sector, weapons hot, while diplomats argued in the corridors, and refugees huddled in emergency shelters. Kiravel's brother, Torveth, had sealed himself and his followers in the station's life support hub with 43 hostages. He'd wired the air recyclers to explosive charges. If anyone breached the doors, everyone died. He wants to see me, Kiravel said after reviewing the comm logs. Only me. Not happening. Marcus, he'll kill you the moment you walk through that door. Perhaps. She touched my face, a gesture that had become familiar over the months. But he will also hesitate. I am his blood, the last of our family. He will need to explain why I deserve to die. That hesitation won't last long. It doesn't need to. I just need to reach the hostages. She pulled a small device from her pocket, Council Standard Emergency Beacon. If I activate this, the Marines will breach. I just need to get close enough to deactivate the explosives first. That's suicide. No, that's strategy. She smiled. A real smile, warm and sad. You taught me the difference. They let her through the barricade. I watched on the monitors as she walked down the empty corridor toward the sealed doors. She looked small, fragile. Nothing like the woman who'd climbed into a frozen crevasse to save my life. The doors opened. Torvith stood inside, gaunt and wild-eyed, a detonator clutched in his hand. Behind him, the hostages huddled in terrified groups. Sister Dot. His voice was flat. You come to beg for the humans? I come to see you, brother, to understand. Understand. He laughed, bitter and broken. You bond with the butcher of Kestran, and you want to understand? He killed our parents, Kiravel. Our children. Our entire colony. I know what he did. And you stay with him. You defend him. You, Torvith's voice cracked. You chose him over your own blood. I chose to live. Kiravel took a step forward. I chose to find something worth living for. You could do the same. There is nothing left. There is always something left. Another step. Brother, please, let the children go. They didn't burn Kestran. They didn't kill anyone. They are innocents. So were our children. And killing these will not bring them back. Torvith's hand trembled on the detonator. I could see it on the monitor. The war inside him. The grief and rage fighting against something older. Something deeper. You never understood, he whispered. The marks we leave are all we have. And they left nothing. Nothing but ash. Then leave new marks. Kiravel reached out, her hand hovering over his. Leave mercy. Leave the choice you wish they had made. Leave something your children would have been proud of. For one endless moment I thought it would work. Then Torvith screamed, a sound of pure anguish, and his finger moved toward the trigger. Kiravel was faster. She grabbed the detonator, twisted and slammed her forehead into her brother's face. He staggered back, blood streaming from his nose, and she ran. Not toward the exit. Toward the explosives. Kiravel! I shouted into the comm. Get out of there. The charges are on a timer now, she gasped, her fingers flying over the wiring. He set them the moment he saw me. I have maybe 40 seconds. Leave them. The Marines can. The Marines will die. Everyone will die. Her voice was calm, focused, unless I stop it. You don't know how to defuse. Your grandmother was right, Marcus. She pulled a wire. The timer paused. You should leave marks so they know you were here. She pulled another wire. The timer stopped. The aftermath was a blur. Marines flooding in, hostages evacuated, Torvith restrained and sedated. Politicians and admirals congratulating themselves on a diplomatic success. I found Kiravel sitting alone in a supply closet, her hands shaking, her face blank. Hey, I said softly, sliding down the wall to sit beside her. It's over. He's going to execution. Her voice was hollow. My brother, the last of my blood. I'm sorry, I'm not. She looked at me, and I saw something I hadn't seen before. Not grief, not anger, but resolution. He chose his marks. He chose violence and despair. I chose differently. You chose to save 43 strangers. I chose to save 43 lives. That they were strangers is irrelevant. She leaned against my shoulder. That is the mark I want to leave. Not revenge. Not anger. Just life preserved. Life continued. I put my arm around her. She didn't pull away. We didn't go back to Earth immediately. The council offered Kiravel a position, cultural liaison they called it. A bridge between human and Velorian refugees. Real work, not the manufactured servitude of the companion program. They're terminating our arrangement, she told me after the meeting. I am no longer your assigned companion. Good. I pulled the transfer orders from my pocket. The ones I'd filed that morning. Because I was getting tired of the paperwork. She looked at the orders. Her eyes widened. You're requesting permanent civilian status. On Artemis. The station needs a security consultant. Someone who knows military tactics but isn't military anymore. I shrugged. And I hear the cultural liaison position comes with quarters in the same residential block. Marcus, you don't owe me anything, Kiravel. You never did. But if you want to stay, if you want to see what this could be without the program, without the expectations, I took a breath. I'd like that. She was quiet for a long time. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a stone, the one she'd taken from my grandmother's garden. I have been thinking about marks, she said. About what they mean. About who we leave them for. And I realized that your grandmother was only half right. She placed the stone in my hand, curling my fingers around it. It matters that we leave marks. But it matters more that we choose who sees them. Kiravel, I see you, Marcus Chen. Not the butcher of Kestran. Not the war hero. Not the broken soldier. She touched my face, her fingers tracing the scar along my jaw. I see the man who gave me his bed, who kept a stone for 15 years, who taught me that marks can be mercy as easily as violence. And what do you see for us? She smiled, really smiled. For the first time since I'd known her, I see more marks, different ones, better ones. She pulled my forehead down to touch hers. I see a story we write together. That sounds like a lot of responsibility. It is. But I think we are both tired of being weapons. Her silver eyes found mine. I think we are ready to be something else. I kissed her forehead. She didn't pull away. They still tell stories about me in the military. The butcher of Kestrin. The hero of Theta 7. The man who walked away from his medal to carry a wounded alien in his arms. But those aren't the marks I think about anymore. I think about a small stone on a shelf, next to a newer one from a garden on the other side of the galaxy. I think about a woman who climbed into darkness to bring me back. I think about the apartment on Station Artemis where we've lived for 3 years now. The walls covered with photographs and Velorian art, and the small accumulated debris of a life built together. I think about the morning she told me she was carrying our child. A biological impossibility, according to every scientist in the galaxy, yet somehow undeniably real. My grandmother said to leave marks so they know you were here. I left more than marks. I left a home, a family, a future I never thought I deserved. And every day, when I wake up beside her, I see them all reflected in silver eyes that chose to witness mine. That's the only legacy that matters. That's the only mark that counts.